Sasol says it expects to have greater control over its new broad-based black economic empowerment scheme, Khanyisa. The shareholding arrangement will be launched next year when its current Sasol Inzalo scheme matures. But Inzalo shareholders won't be getting a cent. The petrochemical giant still has to service debt after the scheme failed.
Sasol launched its 28 billion rand Inzalo share scheme in 2008. With more than 206,000 shareholders, it was one of the biggest BEE transactions in South Africa. But when Sasol Inzalo matures next year, shareholders will not receive a payout.
Lessons that we've learned is that a transaction that's linked to share price places a lot of things outside of your control. And I think that is the main thing that we've learned. I think second of all, when you get funding to finance a transaction of this nature, the interest rates and all the various parties involved can push up the prices significantly.
When Sasol dissolves the Inzalo scheme, it will write off its internal debt, which is self-financed. The transaction was also heavily financed by third-party debt, obtained mostly from banks. Soria Hay, who specializes in BEE transactions, says this was a costly exercise.
We believe BEE transactions should be structured with sustainability of funding uppermost in the company's mind, and internal kind of funding is more within the control of the company than having significant slugs of external funding, as in this case. And I think Sasol shouldn't have been underwriting the external funding lines the way they have done it, because obviously that is what is coming back to impact the balance sheet very negatively.
Sasol believes its new Khanyisa scheme is starting out on better footing, with the current oil price at around $55 per barrel. And to avoid previous debt pitfalls, the company will also provide its own financing, which it says will give it more flexibility and control, while also being able to pay out dividends much quicker.
The dividends received by Sasol Inzalo were used to pay off the debt. Inzalo participants who elect to participate in Sasol Khanyisa will be allocated additional bonus shares, 1 for every 10, that they'll be able to trade immediately on the empowerment index of the JSE. Currently, the Sasol BE ordinary share price is about 345 Rand. Whatever the price is on that day, when Sasol Khanyisa begins, and when they allocated those shares, they'll be able to trade immediately and get some value that will allow them to recoup the initial investment that they placed within Sasol Inzalo.
The ownership structure of the Khanyisa scheme translates into at least 25% black ownership of Sasol in South Africa. Despite Inzalo's financial troubles, the scheme has paid out 1.6 billion rand in dividends to its employees. John Bailey, Pretoria.